Believe it or not, I was working on a lore video, but then the community decided to eat itself. And it ate itself in the most hilarious way imaginable. And the best part is, this all circles back to Drew Levin, and people love talking about him. So a little bit of catching up. Over the past month, one writer called Drew Levin, also known as Just a Capybara, who is the product and strategy lead for League of Legends, meaning that he's essentially the bridge between all of League's teams, started posting and answering a lot of questions on Twitter. And when I say a lot of questions on Twitter, I mean that Drew possibly has about 100 tweets a day. And all of these are him answering honest questions without barriers. This worked so well that people started seeing Drew as a sort of a League of Legends messiah. There was really nothing he wouldn't be able to talk about honestly, which up until that point was quite unheard of from Riot. If you'd like to see more examples of these shenanigans, there is a full video about it. The point is, when there is an issue on Twitter, Drew Levin is right behind the corner. But this also means that even if people don't tag him on an issue, because he's been present around the League community so much, he simply sees all the posts, including those people think he won't see. And one of these posts was made by a streamer called Pentaless, which was a post that said 40-0 to plat. I don't understand how people can have hundreds of games on a jungler in low elo and still consistently fail the 330 full clear. Now, while here he is specifically talking about people not mastering clear times, anyone with common sense can tell you that he is bragging about his rank. And lo and behold, after this post got a bit of traction, Drew popped up. And he made a parody of his tweet because he got a little suspicious. I don't understand how people can look at our dev update about smurfing and think it's a good idea to buy accounts, and post about 40-0ing subplat games as a 1k plus LP challenger. Do you think we won't enforce our rules and TOS? Now here, Drew is referencing their latest dev update, which had an entire section where Drew himself, as well as Frogzone, talked about smurfing, including account sharing, buying accounts, and boosting. More than that, they very specifically talked about a new system that will target people who buy accounts. So all of this is a problem that is fresh out of the oven. This is why, when this tweet popped up, Drew was there head on. But Pentaless tried to defend himself. He mentioned that this account was hand-leveled in bots versus AI. It only played solo queue and it didn't boost anyone. So by Riot's own TOS, it should be clean. Now notice how throughout the entire video he technically never mentioned that he leveled the account himself. He mentions that it is hand leveled, which means that someone leveled it, not a bot, because Vanguard banned all the bots, but he never said that he did it himself. This is not an accusation, but you'll see how funnily this fits into this entire story. Anyway, Drew was still a little bit suspicious, which is why he replied this. Would you like to have the rest of this conversation in public? If so, I'll need you to voluntarily disclose things like account details. I'm not interested in smiting any given account, although I am happy to discuss details of your account if you can show they are yours. Now, because the rest of this conversation goes wild quickly, where some people accuse Drew of having personal vendetta against streamers, just keep in mind that here at the very beginning of the conversation, he specifically said he doesn't care about smiting down anyone, but more importantly, he did offer him to settle this in private. Alright? Just remember that. But also remember that here, Drew specifically asked him to prove that he is the owner of his accounts. This is totally not foreshadowing. But still, Pentaless continued his defense in public, and so the conversation continued as open as possible. He mentioned that there shouldn't be any suspicions on his account. The only issue could be that his account dropped to Iron 4, which is why he heavily smurfed. But even with that, the account should be clean. Which is where we need to point out, why exactly was Drew suspicious of that account? You see, if you go 40 wins against 0 losses, the chances that you end up in plat are extremely low. And there are two major factors that point at this. First of all, I Will Dominate made a whole video talking about this topic. And he mentioned that when Riot gave him an account so that he could play on a different server, it was a completely blank account with no MMR. And so starting from pure 0 with no normal games played on it, he played about 48 games with about 85% win rate. It's not even 100%. And that made him cross into Master. This perfectly lines up with what should be the case. Because the second factor is Riot's new system that is handling smurfs. Over the years, Riot made massive improvements with the True Skill 2 system as well as the original skill system. And in almost every dev talk, there is the one part where Riot talks about it, but everyone skips it because they wanna know what's the next exalted skin. In fact, at the beginning of the Noxian season, Riot confirmed that the new system is getting very good at identifying smurfs. So in general, if you are actually doing well, the system will boost you up. I think the original quote was that it takes about 4 to 6 games to identify you are a high rank player. Meaning that if you win 40 games in a row, the chances of you not being way above Diamond are very low. Which is why Drew was suspicious. The numbers didn't add up. It was likely there was some kind of rank manipulation. But still, it was possible that this was just a bug. I mean, the systems are still work in progress. Which is why Drew wasn't willing to do anything unless he had hard evidence. I mean, there were cases where Riot accidentally banned people who were innocent before, and so he wanted to play it safer. And again, that is why Drew needed to know which accounts specifically did Pentaless own. And so the conversation continued. Sorry, what's the account details, including name and registered email? I hope you'll forgive me if I think that a heavily cropped screenshot of an op.gg page is not sufficient evidence to believe you're talking about your own account. After which the two shared some more information publicly. I'll try to avoid that because I don't actually want to start a witch hunt. But after that, Drew asked for the summoner ID and the server. With all the details set, the conversation ended with, "Perfect, thanks, we'll look into this tomorrow when in the office." This was on August the 17th. And merely 2 days later, on August the 19th, this happened. Yep, Pentaless got banned. And he got banned for the funniest reason. So this entire tweet is quite lengthy, so let's bite into it piece by piece. After being falsely accused by a Riot employee on Twitter that I had bought my account, proved that the account accused was hand leveled, and in response to proving my innocence, again, it can be hand leveled, just not by him, I have now been globally banned on all my accounts for rank manipulation. Many pros and larger streamers are handed accounts from Riot around Diamond Elo, which by definition are considered smurfs, for having the same LP difference as a master player playing in bronze. So first of all, Riot doesn't actually give anyone Diamond accounts. I think this was the case up until like Season 5. Now it doesn't happen anymore, with the only exception being pros, who need higher rank accounts on different servers to practice before tournaments. Everyone else, including streamers, can get a new account, but it is a blank level 30 account with nothing on it. This has been their policy for at least the last 6 years. And even now, if you ask, there is a good chance you won't even get it. I'll be honest, even I don't know the specific rules you need to meet to get one of these accounts. Secondly, notice how he says that he got banned because of this specific account. This might come back later. I've been banned for hand leveling an ult and going on a winning streak without duoing with anyone else in ranked. That is correct, that did happen. And I'd like to apologize, technically he does hint that he did level the account himself. It's just funny that in every other paragraph he does have to mention that it is hand leveled. I've most likely been banned due to a bug with older accounts since it was initially made 7 years ago. Although my account was playing with Emerald and Diamond players in normals a month ago, due to an issue with older accounts being bad MMR, it initially got placed in Iron 4. A similar thing happened to Core JJ in the past, being placed into Iron 1 after going 10-0 in placements, which is why his name in NA is from Iron. I'd also like to mention that I've created the account around the same time as he did, which could explain the similarities in MMR. All of this, everything we've heard here, may as well be true. People have heard that such bugs exist, so it is possible he got one of the bugged accounts that were just old. That could easily result in the win streak. And so all of this also hold. And so he ends with this. To sum things up, being banned on my hand-leveled account because of Riot not placing smurfs correctly isn't fair. Although what's even more unjust is that my main account got banned as well for what I feel is an abuse of power in this situation. Riot has not historically issued global bans except against players who are extremely toxic and run it down, which I am neither. I am very disheartened to see my main get banned in the crossfire of my hand-leveled account. I was really looking forward to maybe achieve rank 1 for the end of this split, but it looks like I won't even have the opportunity. Here we have to point out that he feels like he got banned because Drew Levin abused his power. He got power hungry. He felt the temptation. The power fantasy was too great. With a single button he could ruin anyone's livelihood, if that livelihood depended on smurfing. And he also mentioned that historically Riot has only ever banned very toxic players. One example could be Tyler. And so the message was out there. Riot started banning people, and when questioned they would double down. They simply banned streamers they didn't like because they could. But of course this itself is a public tweet. And so you know who's right behind the corner? Would you like to link your purchased account that you've played more than 20 games on? That's right, in a hilarious twist of fates. The one account he posted, yeah, that one might have been fine. It was unlikely, but there was the chance that a bug ruined its MMR. But the ban also came from a different place. You see, the entire time Drew had the suspicion that something was off. And after being given enough information by Pentales himself, meaning that he fell into his trap, Drew could investigate the account and all the other accounts that were also connected to it, and he found out that this all links to other accounts, some of which were not mentioned here, were bought. Again, remember, the issue of buying accounts is fresh out of the oven. Riot just talked about it, which helped decide the easiest ban ever. However, the twist is not over. Because you see, the original ban states that he got banned for rank manipulation. So why would it state that? You see, while the original account faced massive suspicions for rank manipulation, because again, the numbers simply didn't make sense. What they found with the other bot accounts was just a side dish. Because if we keep reading the tweets, we get to the truth. So let me see if I got your point right. We did far too little to enforce our rules in the past, and this strikes you as too abrupt and too harsh a punishment, is that right? If so, we made an entire dev update section about this, marketed it in the game client, wrote a blog post about it, and talked about it on social media. I know, I made videos about all of those. Pentales interacted with those conversations multiple times, demonstrating awareness of policy and stance. Not only that, but he streamed and posted about going 40-0 from iron to plant. I don't think there is much reasonable disagreement about whether it's alright to, as a challenger, try hard on an Iron 4 account. But then when someone told Drew that he's still getting banned for an Iron 4 account, all of which was the fault of Riot's own buggy system, Drew posted the final nail. Sorry, this is a challenger player getting gapped by a silver gold jungler, and you think the challenger played normally? And yes, this is an example of a challenger getting destroyed by an unranked account. The important part is, this is a normal game. And apparently, this account also had a history with surrendering normal games, which you would do to lower the hidden MMR. Because yes, even normal games evaluate how good you actually are. So that when you are in a ranked game and you win or lose, the game knows how much LP it is supposed to give you. So if you lose a lot of normal games and you go into ranked and you win, you get less LP. So you stay in a lower rank longer. By Riot's very own definition, that is ranked manipulation. Though Pentales also did post some other normal games where he played normally, and to be fair, that does look legit, but we don't have the stats, so I have no idea what's going on with those. But does it really matter? Nope, because what didn't help is that he also got banned for buying accounts. So even if he proves that the account is fine somehow, the ban would still hold. And the funniest thing is, people don't care either. I thought there would be an uproar, but people are ruthless. The replies on Twitter are wild. But only yesterday, this post also ended up on Reddit, and we all know that Reddit is full of challengers, meaning that they should be sympathetic towards the players, because Riot's systems always suck. But here, out of all places, people tore him apart too. And so, in the end, he should be happy the ban was only 30 days. Though if Riot now reverts the ban and it turns out he was innocent the entire time, that is not gonna be a good look.